Light nigga, dark nigga, faux nigga, real nigga, rich nigga, po nigga, house nigga, field nigga, still nigga. Welcome to my esteemed listeners of the 2020 Vision Podcast. This is Mike Chuck 1212. I'm very glad to be back with you. I've been on hiatus for a couple weeks. I haven't recorded an episode for a couple of weeks, but I'm back. I want to apologize for that hiatus. It's a pretty interesting thing. Most creative people get like a block of some sort where they don't have any information to put out there. My problem is at times I have too much information to put out there and I don't know how to put it all together in one setting. But I appreciate everybody's patience and I appreciate everybody's loyalty. It's very, very much appreciated. It's much needed by a small guy like myself. But once again, I definitely appreciate it. On today's episode, I would first like to address the comments from Michael Vick towards Colin Kaepernick in his advisement to Colin Kaepernick to improve on his image, his perception, and to cut his hair. I am also going to go into accountability. I want to discuss accountability within the realm of manhood. I want to discuss who is responsible for holding men accountable for lack of better terms, the fuck shit that we do. I believe it to be us. I believe it to be other men. And I'm speaking specifically about black men, obviously. I think that we are responsible for holding each other accountable for the fuck shit that we do. So we're going to talk about those things. I'm also going to talk a little bit about the panel that Dr. Umar Johnson sat in front of on Roland Martin's TV One show. I'm going to talk about that just a little bit. I'm going to talk about that just a pinch. I'm going to roll that into the Mike Vick, Colin Kaepernick situation. We'll talk about both of those together. And then we're going to go into the accountability situation. Before I get into either one of those topics, I don't know if it's a congratulatory statement I should make or just a statement in itself. I don't know. But today, OJ was granted to be paroled. He'll be paroled in October. I guess good for him. You know what I mean? It's a weird situation with OJ because, I've had a opportunity on different occasions as an adult to see and read and hear a lot about OJ's story. And man, I don't ever understand how, as an adult, I cannot bring myself to understand how we in black America ever thought OJ was innocent of any fucking thing. It's just crazy. It's just totally crazy. But hey, he got parole. He got granted parole. He'll be out in October. Hey, good for him. You know what I'm saying? Any day as a free man, I'm certain is a blessing. So I don't want to talk too much about OJ. You know what I mean? Congratulations to him. But there's something much more important at stake. There's something much more important to talk about. So the day before yesterday, which would have been Tuesday of this week, Mike Vick did an interview on Fox Sports 1 where I can't remember for certain what question was asked of him. I don't remember what show it was. I don't remember who was interviewing him. I remember that it was Mike Vick that answered the question about Colin Kaepernick. And he said that Colin Kaepernick needed to cut his hair to somehow improve his image, to change his image at some capacity. Now, this is a sentiment that I totally disagree with, first of all. But I do want to say really quick that, for Michael Vick's part, we all have to understand that Michael Vick understands at a deep capacity that improving an image is paramount. Okay, he understands that. Now, the reason why he understands that is completely different from why Colin Kaepernick is in the situation that he's in. Mike Vick is a convicted felon. He was convicted of a felony, federal offense, dogfighting crime. He served a sentence, a 1-year sentence. I'm sorry, maybe an 18-month sentence if I'm not mistaken, in Leavenworth, Kansas, for a federal dogfighting offense. Colin Kaepernick has done no such thing. Colin Kaepernick has not committed a crime. He is not a federal offender. He is not known to us as a dogfighting guy. You know what I mean? He's not in control of a dogfighting ring. That's the fundamental difference between these two individuals, is that Mike Vick is a felon. He needed to improve his image, although it did not help him. He still went to prison. But Colin Kaepernick has committed no crime. Now, let me make this clear. Michael Vick, whomever show Michael Vick was on, and Fox Sports 1 Network, all together, like, in my humble opinion, the fact that they released the interview with Mike Vick, and Mike Vick said that Colin Kaepernick needed to change his image, that is comparable to, in my opinion, once again, to Mike Vick, the interviewer, the show, and Fox Sports 1 saying that Colin Kaepernick's protest during the NFL season, him not standing for the national anthem, is adjacent to, or is likened to, him committing a federal offense, or is likened to Michael Vick committing a federal offense. Folks, these two are not the same thing. If you're listening to this show, if you're listening to the 2020 Vision podcast right now, those two things are not the same thing. In the United States of America, we have the right to a peaceful protest. We do not have the right to fight dogs. All right? So let's get that clear and understood. So for Mike Vick to say that young man needs to change his image, in my opinion, like I said, it's comparing Colin Kaepernick's protest to Michael Vick's federal crime. And I think it's offensive. I think it's totally offensive to who Colin Kaepernick is as a man. Colin Kaepernick is a real man. He's a real cultural activist for black people. And we need to start recognizing that. And, I think, for the most part, I think we're all together on this, though. Every response that I've seen on social media has been, it's been for Colin Kaepernick against Michael Vick, and I'm glad of that, because I would hate to open my Facebook page up and see, my friends cooning just like Mike Vick did. I would hate to see that. You know what I mean? So I wanted to make that part clear, though. Fox Sports 1 and Mike Vick are basically saying that, this protest is similar to a federal crime, and it's not. It's just not the same. It's not close to the same. And I'm gonna tell you that the shit that Mike Vick said, like, also puts me in the mind that, like, Mike Vick want Colin Kaepernick to turn down his blackness on some level. That also, like, severely offends me, and I think it should severely offend anybody that has heard anything from the situation that is a black person. Mike Vick had cornrows before, the whole dogfighting situation. And he had to, like I said, he had to cut that shit off because he had to go to court, he had to see a judge, he had to change his image and things like that, whatever. But for me, having, an afro cut or a high-low or even the sponge look or braids or anything like that, to me, that's some of the things that represent blackness that, people just can't take away from us. You know what I'm saying? Like, people can do it. There's white people that have afros. I've seen some white people with afros before. I've seen Latino Americans and Latinos with afros or braids and whatnot. But they don't do it like we do it. You know what I'm saying? Let's just keep it funky. And that's a part of black culture. And to tell that man that he needs to cut his afro, that he needs to cut his hair on any level, for one black man to say that to another black man, bro, don't ever tell me to turn down my blackness. What the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? That's disrespectful for Mike Vick to ever do something like that. You know? And I can't fathom, I can't even understand for 1 second how Mike Vick has become, you know, in my opinion, this situation, in my opinion, is Mike Vick being whitewashed, if you will. And I never would have thought in 1,000 years that would be Mike Vick, but man, you know, obviously it is, and that's what we've come to, and it's a shocking situation. The entire situation is a shocking situation. For understand that both of these guys, I didn't give you, you know, who they actually are. If you're a listener of my podcast and you don't know who Colin Kaepernick or Michael Vick are, let me explain that to you. So Michael Vick, recently, his most recent NFL team was, I believe, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Michael Vick is a quarterback he was a quarterback in the National Football League. At one point in time, he was one of the absolute best players overall in the National Football League. He was the most dynamic, most athletic player that the league had ever seen. Colin Kaepernick was a very similar player to Mike Vick. He was also a quarterback. If I'm not mistaken, Colin Kaepernick went to school at Utah State, and for all of his NFL career on a team, he's played for the San Francisco 49ers. He's quarterback, very fast guy, very athletic guy, strong arm. But I would have to say, without knowing Colin Kaepernick, I would guess that Colin Kaepernick probably looked up to Michael Vick like most any football player that played football between the years of, you know, the year 2001 and 2007. Anybody that played football in, you know, middle school, high school, college, anything like that, they probably looked up to Michael Vick, especially if they were black and especially if they were a black quarterback. So I would have to guess that Colin Kaepernick is an understudy. He looks up to Michael Vick. And just, man, it's just disrespectful for a guy like Mike Vick, man. You an OG to this guy, bro. And you basically just asked that man to turn down his blackness. You should be, you know, encouraging him to do his thing. You should be encouraging it. He was standing up for you and your brother and your child and your wife. You know what I'm saying? He was standing up for everybody when he didn't stand up. And so for you to say that he needs to change his image because of what he did, like, man, it's crazy. That is all crazy. And I just can't, I never thought in 1,000 years that I would sit here and have to talk about Mike Vick in this sort of way. I feel bad for Mike Vick because, you know, I feel like he's lost his way. I've seen some people on Instagram describe what's happened to him in this particular situation as if it were Stockholm Syndrome. The short and sweet of it is Stockholm Syndrome is where you are taken captive and you start to sympathize and empathize with your captors. And on some level, I can definitely identify with the fact that that's probably what's happened to Mike Vick. You know what I mean? Mike Vick went to prison, so he could probably identify with Stockholm Syndrome on some level. But at the end of the day, just as a black man, I just don't, I can't sympathize with you ever being in the situation where you kind of turn your back on another black man. You see how I could get that mixed up, right? But anyway, I want to tell y'all about this Roland Martin situation. So, Dr. Umar Johnson last week was on The Breakfast Club with DJ Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlamagne the God. He was there being interviewed again. He's been relatively quiet as far as interviews are concerned, and he spoke ad nauseum about what lack of respect